We might have to start a category on this channel. Might have to start a playlist just called Say What? Because of this story that I'm about to show you folks. This is really eye-opening. The National Post reports OnlyFans creator who joined the NDP campaign trail dropped over disrespectful Holocaust video. This individual will not be participating in future campaign events, an NDP spokesperson told the Post. Now, the thing that really just blew me away, and that's not a double entendre. The thing that really shocked me, not the Holocaust video or the disrespect there, but OnlyFans creator joining the NDP. I mean, support who you want. Your political journey is your journey. But I do find it interesting, and I always maybe thought that, people within that kind of work, the sex work and porn industry, I kind of figured that they were more kind of libertarian in a way, because their whole business model is selling yourself. Basically, you're the product you're selling to your customers. So I always kind of envisioned that it was more kind of libertarian, not going down the route of like NDP. But again, your political journey, your whatever you decide on is your journey, however you choose to be. I find this video so interesting. Again, if we had a category, we might have to put this in the thumbnail of Say What? Because that's just hilarious. So an OnlyFans creator who goes by the name of Jessica Wetz, whose full name is Jessica Wetzstein, was one of the latest additions on the campaign trail for NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, until the party said Thursday it would no longer be working with her due to the comments she made about the Holocaust. Wetz made comments on her TikTok account in a post last September comparing remarks made by an Israeli member of parliament about Palestinian babies to remarks made by Adolf Hitler and the Nazis about Jewish babies. In an emailed statement to the National Post, NDP campaign spokesperson Anne McGrath said, "We disagree with the comparison that was made. Nothing should be compared to the Holocaust. Doing so minimizes the scale and horror of that genocide and disrespects the memory of the 6 million Jews and the millions of others who were murdered." Okay, so what about the millions of people and all the children, the medics, the journalists, the young mothers, the people who are in churches and schools and hospitals? What about the people that are dead because of our support for this current genocide? Doesn't that get a moment of importance? Doesn't that go into the lexicon here? Yeah, you could say what you want about not comparing it to the Holocaust, but as what we're doing right now has very much similarities. Very, very similar actions being taken than what was happening in the Holocaust. As they say, history doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And that's what we're kind of seeing right now. This individual will not be participating in any future campaign events. We do not vet every creator we speak to, but we are reviewing how we engage with online voices to ensure alignment with our values. Again, I'm laughing more at the fact that this is an OnlyFans creator. What? I just want to know. They say they don't vet these people, which clearly they don't. But what contribution would an OnlyFans creator bring to the table for the NDP? Is she going to twerk naked on camera in support of Jagmeet Singh? Is that what's happening? Like, I'm very, very, very suspicious of just this alone. Like, putting the Holocaust statements and the uproar aside on that, You had an OnlyFans creator join. What are you bringing to the table? How is she going to attribute to your campaign, knowing that she has a background, she's made a career of herself with sex work? That's the most shocking part of this. Although much of Wetz's comments is rated R, she also uses her social media platforms to discuss her health and to condemn Israel for its apartheid and genocide against Palestinians. Wetz described herself as a health and human rights influencer with hundreds of thousands of followers in an emailed statement to the National Post on Thursday evening. So she's a health and human rights influencer going on to OnlyFans. I am baffled. I am speechless. I mean, hey, sexuality, I'm not going to judge, you do you and we'll just leave it at that. Everyone has their own individual journey, but wow. A human rights and health influencer doing porn and then signing up for the NDP campaign. There's so much left. Comparing the genocide and apartheid in Palestine to any other genocide and apartheid is how you contextualize it. Canada-wide, the curriculum has us compared and contrast different methods of genocide. It's not minimizing or disrespectful, it's educational, she said in a statement. This week on Instagram, she posted three videos, two of her talking with Singh and another showing her time with the NDP team on its campaign bus. In a video posted to Instagram on Monday, Wetz and Singh discussed the Middle East. The NDP Canada advocate for Canada acknowledging the state of Palestine. It makes me so angry that the Liberals and Conservative put us on the wrong side of history by refusing to do it, Wetz wrote in the caption of the post. As Canadians, we are proud the American military does not get to decide that goes on inside our borders because we don't vote for them. Palestinians deserve the exact same thing, said Wetz, speaking to Singh with a how do you say that? They draped over her shoulders. So she highlights that, we're thankful that the American military isn't occupying our territory. If Canada did become a 51st state, we would be fighting for Israel. The sad news about this is, yeah, Canada is still kind of a sovereign nation away from America. That doesn't mean that we're not still captured and bought by other countries, and we have foreign influence that entangle us with this genocide. That we are being blackmailed, we're being deceived, we're being persecuted, we're being propagandized, we're being smeared to support this genocide. That's what she's leaving out here. So yes, she does make the point that we need to educate ourselves, and the best way to do it is to look at history, look at past genocides, and learn from those mistakes so we don't repeat the same mistakes like we're doing right now with Gazans and doing right now with Palestinians and many other people in the Middle East being targeted down by the IDF in Israel by warlords like Netanyahu, whose real name is Makovsky. I understand that, but at the same time, you're leaving out the big picture here. Canada's sovereignty has already been taken over. That's why we're doing this. That's why. Yes, we may be have a little bit more wiggle room to talk about Palestine in compared to the United States, but that doesn't mean we're still out of the clear of not supporting this genocide. He responds, so Jagmeet Singh responds, absolutely, we should not be selling or buying from our country, especially a Netanyahu government that violates human rights. We should be sanctioning those that are involved in these war crimes. Wetz said that the censorship on Palestinian voices was unbelievable. So there's her social media. This is her X accounts. And you can see there's the first one there, Jessica Wetzstein, OnlyFans, many vids, and merch link below. Women's health advocate, TikTok human rights activist, sex positive. So that's her main account, obviously supporting her OnlyFans background. And then underneath that, she has a second account, which is locked, surprisingly. Second account for Jess Wetzstein, political shit. This just makes it more crazy. So the OnlyFans R-rated content is more open to the general public. That's her main account. Compared to her just political beliefs, which is locked. This is, again, I find this so amazing. I find this so hilariously amazing. More so than the comments she's making. Just the fact that she's an OnlyFans contributor. She's a sex positive women's health advocate who does porn as working with the NDP. that just blows you away. And I know that sounds like a double entendre there. But I didn't do that for the pun. Ryan Gertson says, "Do you think Jagmeet Singh knows who he's collaborating with in this video? That is Jessica Wetz, an OnlyFans adult porn model / activist. She also has access to the NDP campaign bus. Interesting influencer to choose." And he links to the video here of Jessica Wetzstein with Jagmeet Singh discussing Israel-Palestine. And again, like I said, at least in Canada here, we do have a bit of wiggle room to have a better discussion than, say, in the United States. You don't have the totalitarian censorship crackdown as our American counterparts, and we're kind of thankful for that. At the same time, though, we're not out of the dark for this. We still have blood on our hands because we have contributions, and like we showed in the previous video, we have Israeli lobbies that are funneling money to politicians to actively engage in pro-genocide, pro-Israel, pro-war motions, which is why Canada is wrecking its own sovereignty and wrecking its own identity of being a peacekeeping nation. But here's what this video entails.
As Canadians, we're proud the American military does not get to decide what goes on inside our borders because we don't vote for them, and Palestinians deserve the exact same thing, and I know you feel similar.
Absolutely. Should not be selling or buying from a country, especially a Netanyahu government that violates human rights. We should be sanctioning those that are involved in these war crimes.
Why are we buying and selling arms to a place that doesn't respect international borders?
The points are actually things that we put forward either in a motion or we put forward individually.
The censorship going on right now with Palestinian voices is unbelievable, and we need to get out there and have our voices heard as Canadians because we have the privilege of being able to vote and really have a say in this.
And get out and vote, yeah, and absolutely. We also have an important platform to help people around the world where their voices are being silenced, and we can actually amplify their voices.
I encourage you to go to elections.ca, figure out where your riding is, what you need to do to vote. Appreciate that so much. Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay. So that was her with Jagmeet Singh. I'm guessing in his office, it must be business casual Friday day. I don't know. I just find it weird with the dressed up button shirt and yet you had jeans on. It was just kind of interesting get up there. But obviously the statement there, I agree with that statement that why are we sending money? Why are we sending weapons and our military equipment over to a country that lawfully and just heinously goes against international law, violation of human rights, disparaging not only just Hamas, but the entire population of Gaza, the entire population of Palestine, and further and beyond. You know, this whole idea of trying to defend Israel and go after Hamas, the argument is lost. The argument is lost because it's not about Hamas. It's not about October 7th. This is part of the greater Israeli project. This is part of the notion of Zionism. This is part of the whole great grandeur of why Israel exists and why it's purposely in that position, why it's in Palestine, why it's purposely in the Middle East and not in places like Germany. The reason for that is because the CIA, the Rothschilds, the British monarchy, all these international conglomeracies and agencies purposely designed Israel, manufactured this country to make it seem like it's a safe place for Jews and a refuge for people at the Holocaust. But really, it's more of a military base. It's a military base so we can keep eyes and ears on Middle Eastern countries that we want to thwart and destroy and take their resources. And we have done that for many decades now on the behest of this country. Just like RFK Jr. says, Israel is like an aircraft carrier. That's what it is. Israel is not really a state for the Jewish people. It's a manipulation for an aircraft, for the military, for agencies, for psyops of the military-industrial complex to use and abuse all the countries surrounding it. And this idea that we're trying to defend people while we're still pillaging their villages and destroying apartment buildings and hospitals and schools and decimating communities, just flattening out, make it uninhabitable and unlivable for anyone to have a mere presence in, has nothing to do with October 7th. Nothing to do with the hostages. Nothing to do with the hostages. In fact, Netanyahu doesn't want anything to do with the hostages. That's why he violated the ceasefire. That's why he doesn't want to rescue people. Because once he rescues those people, then there's no point in the genocide. So having those people locked up or possibly killed is giving him the leverage to commit these war crimes. That's the whole take of all this. And luckily, at least for the NDP's sake, they're right about this. They're right about the situation. And yes, there needs to be some education. I think, obviously, the same thing what's happening with Aaron Gunn. People are just blowing this out of proportion. There's more just reactionary clickbait, just reaction to this instead of focusing on the bigger picture and the actual tone of this message. Is the fact that it's not repeating history or making a comparison. It's learning from past mistakes so we don't create similar mistakes right now and continue that into the future, which is what's happening right now. That's what's the serious situation that's happening in the Middle East. But I'm just still I'm just still shocked about the OnlyFans thing. That is wild. That is wild. But that may be the most interesting thing about the NDP going so far. Because obviously Jean-Michel saying, much like Trudeau, much like Bernie Sanders or AOC, just one of these people that is just an absolute disappointment once you understand who they come from and what they really intend to do with the country. Another disappointment, but get a porn star. I guess that's the way to win politics. Sex sells, right? This is brought to you by Ground News, the versatile news app and website that gathers all the world's media on one place and allows users to compare coverage. Ground News gives you the access of thousands of sources worldwide, allows you to see the media blind spots, and even gives analysis on the bias and factuality of those stories. Weave your way through the mainstream narratives, the corporate lies, and have total access to find complete information that you deserve. Click on the link below and get 15% off a subscription. Be critical, be informed, be ground.